Abundance isn't a mindset that's fear-based. Abundance isn't living in a scarcity mindset. Abundance isn't jealousy or lack of forgiveness or judgment. That's not abundance. And but abundance is and can be the most unusual things. One of the things that I do every night is I write a list of the things I'm grateful for the day. And to me, that is sitting in a place of abundance. Even though I may have had a crappy afternoon, or something really didn't go the way I was hoping to go, or I'm still waiting on, like you and I are both, like there's, and I'm sure that, audience, you may be in this cycle that things are taking longer than expected, but yet there's abundance in that. And it's like we can see the gifts in life, and that's an abundant mindset. When we can just stop and appreciate the fact that we're breathing, the fact that we don't have to think about our breath, the fact that our heart beats, and we're getting nourishment, and we're making good choices in our lives to be hydrated, and that's abundance. And Chris, you and I talk about this all the time, is that when we have an abundance mindset, there's very little that we have to do, because we are aligning ourselves with experiences that are matching our abundance mindset. And it's not easy, okay? That takes practice, especially with, I was in a circumstance where, I was in an apartment several years ago, but, I had a roof that was dripping. And I, had talked with my landlord, hey, can you fix this? I never fixed it. Well, the roof came down. Thank God I wasn't there. But the roof came down. And, it was like, it was on the bed. It was, it was just it ruined everything. It's interesting because we can focus on those memories and be like, nothing's going to happen. Like, that's all I'm going to think about, but an abundant mindset is going beyond that. Like, okay, you know what? I don't want this anymore. What do I want? Right, Chris? Like, what are the things that are important to me? And that's why even just doing like a gratitude journal, or I just type it on my phone, and I'm like, you know what? I'm grateful that I got to sleep in today, or I'm grateful I'm going to bed early. I'm grateful that I had a cup of tea, or I was actually able to get something done that I thought was going to take me longer. I mean, there's small things.
Yeah, and it's not about the external world, although it can materialize in that way, and that's okay. And there's nothing wrong with this materialism based abundance, but it's certainly not the full spectrum and not the full picture. And the material abundance truly does come in a lot more when there's an energetic and a frequency behind it, meaning when you're practicing gratitude every day, that's a frequency, that is a way of resonating and living and moving through your day-to-day life. And that frequency, like a magnet, will attract other frequencies, other things in that ballpark. So if you're in that gratitude spectrum of emotion and feeling, then you're going to bring in more things to be grateful for. And then it just keeps piling and piling and piling. And even when other things that maybe aren't so lovely happen to you, you're able to still look around and like, well, at least I'm breathing, at least I've got my bed, at least I've got my loved ones, at least I've got XYZ, whatever it needs to be. And that way you're constantly moving through life at that particular frequency, which then magnetizes in other things of that frequency more and more and more and more. So you start to expect abundance. And that's the beautiful thing, that when you switch and you actually start to build these expectations, I think expectations are okay, because you can reframe that word as also just a way of manifestation. I expect something is another way of saying I'm bringing in something into my life. It's the same kind of energy, I think. It's the same kind of intention. So when you expect abundance, guess what? You receive abundance. And when I've hung out with extremely wealthy people, I actually really enjoy being around their energy and presence, because it is, they're operating at a different frequency. Now, does that mean every aspect of their life is perfect? Absolutely not. Of course not. They're human just like all of us, and there might be other things that they are moving through in their life. But one thing they've definitely mastered is that physical abundance and that expectation, where they're like, oh, I expect $1 million to come in next week, and it does. And I'm like, I'm always blown away at that. They just, it's like that was one of the big defining differences I was noticing with wealthy people I've met throughout my whole life, is there's an expectation of abundance. And
Yeah.
I've liked that. I'm like, I'm taking that into my life. I expect abundance. And once again, does it always have to come in with a buttload of cash, which is great, but it's also not the only way that we can define abundance. Like I was giving the example before, an apartment might fall in your lap, or even smaller things, just like a free coffee one day, all of a sudden someone, orders the wrong thing, and boom, you get this free coffee, or you get that perfect parking space, or you know what I mean? Like it can go in so many small or like micro or macro levels, but it's a frequency, I think.
So I love what you're saying. And what I want to, there are three things that I'm like, yes, yes, yes. So the principle of polarity, I want to touch base on just for a second. But um, when we talk about abundance, we're also talking about the space that we can create to allow the receivership of things to show up. And the best way of doing that is to give. So an abundance mindset is a giving mindset. And you're mentioning, a coffee. There's many times if I go through like a Starbucks drive through, I will pay for someone's drink behind me and total pay it forward. And, I don't need a pat on the back. I don't need any of that. I never know who that person is, but I know that I've done something that sparked a chain of events, that it raised their frequency, it raised my frequency. And what did they say? When you give, you receive 10,000 times. So an abundant mindset for me is also in that, opening the space so I can step in to be a receivership. And the way in which to do that is to be a giver, right? A giving of me in the smallest little things. And when we're saying about giving, we're not saying, be a doormat, right? We're saying, like, really look at the little things that you can do, right? You can open the door up for, an elderly person, or if you're on, public transportation, you can let them sit down. I mean, there's thousands of different things that we can do.